Welcome to Constructech TV. Today we'll be looking at the top 5 tech trends for construction. This includes, it happened this month, the top 3 smart cities, the most expensive city to build, healthy homes, and the impact of mentoring. First up, it happened this month in March 1876 when Alexander Graham Bell was granted a patent for the telephone. Just think about how the phone has evolved since that one simple call. In the early days, push-to-talk was an easy way to communicate at the job site. Now, I will bet most of you in construction will remember that. Since then, Steve Jobs' invention of the iPhone and the subsequent plethora of millions of apps has completely changed the course of communication pretty much for all of us. So what once began as an interesting hardwired device has been transformed into a powerful cellular gadget that it seems most of us just can't live without. And today, the cell phone is perhaps one of the most important tools on the construction job site. And who would have thought it all started with a patent from Alexander Graham Bell 141 years ago this month. Next up, the top 3 smart cities in the United States. Now, I wanted to give you the top 3 smart cities that you might not know. Coming in at number 3 is Chattanooga. It is known as the gig city. Every home and business gets 1 gigabyte per second of internet speed. This is enabling new research in biology and STEM. Coming in at number 2 is Charlotte. Envision Charlotte as a public-private collaboration. It looks to improve sustainability, quality of life through data collection. It demonstrates how government and technology companies can work together. And it has expanded it into a larger America initiative, so to speak. Coming in at number 1 is San Francisco. The city is redefining urban transportation. Technology will help repurpose public space into affordable housing, and it will eliminate fatal collisions through avoidance technology and connected vehicles. What's exciting here is the city is partnering with UC Berkeley to test best practices and pilot these programs with other transportation agencies. The objective is to create a city with 0 traffic deaths, 0 transportation emissions, and to get everyone where they want to go. So those are your top 3 smart cities. Now my question is, would you have guessed it? Now let's look at the most expensive cities for construction. These come from the International Construction Cost Report from Arcadis. Hong Kong and Geneva, Switzerland make up 2 of the top 3. The third one is in the United States. Have you guessed the city yet? It's New York City. Not much of a surprise. Large-scale construction projects and international investors drive development. But here is something that might be of interest. New York is almost 50% more expensive in construction costs than the national average in the United States. And it is 20% higher than other major cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, or Boston. Maybe we should have our new president look into those construction costs. Step aside smart homes, hello healthy homes. This is being researched at the University of Kansas School of Architecture, Design, and Planning. Students are exploring big data and sensing technology in the home, and they are tying it into collecting biometric data. The goal here is to monitor health. For instance, the floor could monitor heel strikes. This would indicate if someone has fallen. Smart mirrors could also look for changes in our skin. Here to explain it is Joe Callistra, Associate Professor at the School of Architecture, Design, and Planning at the University of Kansas. So Joe, let's talk about this idea of a healthy home. You know, it's really exciting times when we talk about smart cities and things like that. What's your view of a healthy home?
Yeah, so we've been looking at housing in Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, one of the first cities to come online with a gigabit network. And so one of the things we've been looking at is how you would approach housing if you had unlimited bandwidth. And so what are some of the data points you could start to collect? And we found very quickly one of the most important things is biometric data. So we're looking at how to collect biometric data through the built environment and then use population health strategies to deliver healthcare more affordably and more effectively. And we think sometimes before you even know you need healthcare.
So how would you take this data that you're talking about, Joe, and carry it into other parts of our lives that we're thinking about every day?
Sure. Well, one of the things we're looking at is gate analysis. And so we're looking at a two-way steel flooring system that would have accelerometers in it. And this is used often for monitoring structural stability, but it also can be calibrated to pick up heel strike. So one of the things we're looking at is whether someone's beginning to limp or favor one side over another, whether they're dragging their feet, all of which can be determinants of falling in the future or early onset Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. We're also starting to look at circadian rhythm adjusted lighting and LED lights that can be adjusted to help you fall asleep at night, wake up in the morning. And we're also looking at a really exciting smart toilet, which starts to take hydration readings. And this is the real potential, I think, of population health. It takes hydration readings and then couples the data from your hydration readings to an automated medicine dispenser to automatically adjust diuretic and heart medication.
If
so
you can
imagine that's really powerful.
If you can find a smart toilet to clean for myself, I'm all over the smart toilet. So if that's what you're saying, I really like that. Smart toilet knows how to clean itself. I'm all in now, Joe. I think you just made me really happy. But so when you say this hydration, I'm kidding aside, but when you say hydration and things like that, I love the idea of assisted living and the things that you're talking about. Are these going to change the way we think? I know you talk about strikes and healing and things like that, but are we talking about being able to see things that happen in ways we haven't imagined yet? I mean, you have some ideas, but are you thinking about that because we're getting older, more people are living longer, that they can stay in their homes more because the home is reacting to the way we live longer in our homes, and it's sensing things that we do and feel in our homes. That reaction is what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think aging in place is really important right now, and there's so many people that are coming online that are needing more assistance in housing and assisted living. And most rates for assisted living is not very affordable. And so trying to bring this to the masses and trying to put it in housing projects that may be in the background. We've all heard about the wonderful opportunities for fall detection and prevention through Fitbits and Apple Watches. But for most of us, most of our parents are not wearing Apple Watches and wouldn't know how to turn them on and would be a little reluctant to use those automated devices. So having this through sensors in the floors, in the background, in the walls of our unit can help us monitor more people more efficiently, and maybe in the background for people that wouldn't be able to use that technology.
And so when we're thinking about this, will we be using this technology with other things in our homes? I mean, our tablets and our caregivers, is that how they'll be able to react if something should happen and know what's happening in our lives that way?
Yeah. Well, what's so exciting is we don't even know how some of this data will be used. I think that big data is like a new natural resource, and it's probably as impactful for laying out our cities as water and electricity were 100 years ago. And so one of the things we're looking at is just how we would collect all these data points. And if you start to overlay, for instance, one of the things we've been looking at is how you bring all the data together to make smart population health decisions. And so if you take hydration readings from the toilet, someone beginning to have balance issues from the gait analysis, you overlay that with maybe sleep sensors that you can see someone's only had 4 hours of sleep for a number of nights in a row. And you overlay that with data that we don't even know about yet, like the temperature, or there's ice on the sidewalk outside, or it's the end of the month, and so a lot of seniors are starting to ration their medication. These population health data points and analysis can start to really fine-tune. Let's say in a city of 100,000 people, there's 1% that have a 95% chance of falling tomorrow. That's really powerful information for organizing our cities.
So really think about it this way. For a builder, how do we put this in the perspective that this matters for builders and the homes that they're building? So is this technology that they can say they can put this in the new structures that they're putting up and saying, this is how you need to think about what you're doing in the new homes of the future?
Yeah. Well, one of the most technologically advanced things we're looking at is gait analysis, like I mentioned. And gait analysis done in a lab for sports kinesiology departments and high-tech scientists and doctors is a really expensive lab. What we're looking at is like a poor man's gait analysis, where if you took a steel floor or even a wood floor that's stiff enough to pick up the vibrations of someone walking, you can calibrate the accelerometers in the floor to pick up that gait or the heel strike. And so just having that ability to put that in floors is really powerful. We're assuming that this technology is going to need to be swapped out every 2 or 3 years. So access panels, modularity, prefabricated walls and floors, even the panelization that we see going on now. We're working with 2 wall manufacturers, Prescient and also Build Smart, and looking at how, in addition to having passive house certified multifamily housing, you could actually put the sensors in before it leaves the warehouse. And this does 2 things, really. First of all, it allows you to swap out technology really quickly. It also begins to bring down the cost because you can, in federally funded subsidized housing, you can avoid Davis-Bacon wages by having a prefabricated system. So we're trying to look at different development models that would pay for this and allow for not only the technology, but the maintenance and future upkeep to be paid for.
So really what we're seeing here is if we took prefabrication and we're taking that, we then could extend it to what we're doing into building information modeling and collaboration. And so builders can actually see this into so much more of the technology they're already using and expand it with the big data in that way.
Yeah, we have to. There's so many seniors coming online that need affordable housing. We're in the millions of units that need to be built. And so I don't think we're going to be able to do it with stick frame construction like we do out of the back of a pickup truck nowadays. The new model is prefabrication, and whether that's panelized walls or entire units that get shipped to site, I really think that's the future. That just makes it more easy for us to put some of this technology in.
Well, is there anything else we need to get our builders excited about? Because now you're showing them a whole new way of technology that they might not even have thought about before.
Well, I think the cost is going to come down. I think it's going to make healthier environments. And with prefabrication, housing units start to have the precision of a medical device. So what we once called rough framing is now made on a nailing bed with, an exact engineered lumbered wood. There's no warping, there's no waste. And that analogy to a medical device is really exciting because it's the idea that your housing unit or your built environment can actually start to take care of you.
Well, Joe, it's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you for having me.
Our final tech trend of the day is the impact of mentoring. The company's name is Current Builder, and its mission is to invest in advanced technology. This general contractor is using drone and virtual reality technology. This is going to help enhance safety protocols. The technology shows team members conditions that could be hazardous. And here's the really cool part. They show them these conditions in 3D before they even step on the job site. So that is one example of how technology can enhance safety and even resolve issues at the job site. That's your tech update for today. One in 10 construction workers are injured each year. In New York City alone, construction-related fatalities almost doubled in 1 year. The construction industry is one of the most dangerous in America. On today's Safety Zone, we are going to address the 6 ways to prevent construction site accidents and what every construction worker should know. Please welcome Patrick Tarrant, founder and CEO of Crane Management. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Peggy. Good to be here.
So, Patrick, let's talk about the construction site. Why are they so dangerous these days?
I don't think they're any more dangerous these days, but there's a lot more construction activity. So when you have more activity, you have more deliveries, you have more buildings coming online, and you also, unfortunately, have more accidents. Percentage-wise, probably no more than historically, but it's still too high. So we're not solving the problem of construction safety as well as we should.
So what are we looking at? Tell us what we need to do to improve safety, or are we doing the right things on the job sites? I mean, I know that there's been some newly construction safety mandates that have been issued. Are we doing all those kind of things right?
Yes, we're doing them right, but we're not putting the proper amount of training in the proper place. The guys on the ground level, I mean, of the organization, not the building, they're trained. You have to have a 10-hour OSHA certification to get on jobs. So that gives people a minimum level that they know the basic safety. The upper level know the huge cost in insurance premiums for accidents, but I think, unfortunately, the in-betweens, the field management on the job site, and also in the United States, there's a tendency to subcontract a lot more. In Europe, I worked in Europe, and it's called self-performing, where one entity will hire the plumbers, electricians, carpenters. So you have what the OSHA refers to as a controlling entity, now has more of a more leverage and more interest in creating a safe environment. A lot of it is the environment changes from day to day. One day you're pouring concrete, there's a temporary handrail around. Next day you're moving on to the next floor. The environment is constantly changing. You get constant deliveries coming in. It takes a lot more vigilance than we're deploying right now to keep that environment safe and to keep up with the changes as the site changes.
Are those the biggest safety problems you think we're having, is all that changes that occurs on the job sites? I mean, what would you say is the craziest kind of issues that you're seeing, that it's just that the job site's constantly movement, all those kind of things that are happening?
Well, that's the stage that the whole thing is set on, but the biggest problem I find is lack of preparation. People come and they haven't prepared. I ran a very successful steel company for years, and when my project managers came to me and said, okay, we're ready to go, I'd say, okay, let me see, there are 6 resources you need to do this job efficiently. You need personnel, you need equipment, you need room to work when you get to the job site, you need the material, obviously, you need information, drawings, plans, and you need time. And I made up a sheet with all those 6 resources identified, and I'd say to my guys, okay, that's permit, P-E-R-M-I-T. Fill out your permit sheet and let me see that you've identified the resources that you need to get the job done. Now, if I don't give you, or if I short you on any of those resources, then you're off the hook. But if I give you everything you ask for, I want my pound of flesh. I want the job done safely, and I want it done within time.
So are those 6 steps that you just described going to help prevent accidents on the job site?
Peggy, they would eliminate accidents. I've said, I teach a class, and I tell people, I defy anybody in this class to produce an accident report, and we'll analyze it, where all 6 of those resources was in place. Never happens. We have a tendency here to rush into a project when we have the resources needed to start. And I tell them, no, stop. You need to have all the resources to bring you to completion, to finish. We tend to rush into things. We come to the first justifiable obstacle, and then we say, oh, we didn't see that coming. Well, we're supposed to be construction professionals. We're supposed to see it coming. And if we sit down and think, and my favorite thing is, when we're in a marginal situation, I'm involved in what would be considered high risk. We put up cranes, we take them down, we attach them to buildings. And I say, when I see something that doesn't make sense, I say, guys, when this whole thing goes bad, we're going to look at one another and we're going to say, we should have known better. Well, guess what? We do know better. We know now what we will know 2 days from now after an accident. Let's put our heads together and let's revisit our permit sheet and see what we're short of. Are we improvising because we don't have the right equipment? And improvising is compromising. If you don't have exactly what you need, then don't do the job, don't start it.
So do you have a strong opinion on the President's immigration plan and how that will affect, one way or the other, a construction job site and safety?
I don't know, Peggy, because there's a lot of fear in the construction industry that people are going to get deported, which I don't quite honestly understand. In Europe, they had the EU, which allowed the free movement of workers, so skilled workers could go from one country to another. In Ireland, you had a lot of Polish workers showed up in this when this Celtic Tiger was going. They were in construction, they were in the service business, And then when things after the crash in 2008, they all went back home. It was a common market. I was under the impression NAFTA was going to be the free movement of labor and goods, but obviously not. I think that if you remove a workforce that's skilled, and whether they're documented or not, they've developed certain skills, those people have to be replaced. We're in a construction boom right now in the Northeast. Is there going to be enough training on time? And how do we make sure the new people come in to replace people who may be deported? It's a problem that needs to be studied. It's not something that should be rushed into.
Well, at least, Patrick, what you're saying, if they at least adhere to your 6 steps, maybe that's how we prevent accidents on the job site. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's great to be here.
All right, well, that's our safety zone for today. Thank you again. Accounting and job costing is one of the greatest priorities in construction. In fact, 75% of companies rate this type of software as having a high level of importance. However, as most of you know, this is no easy task to manage. Today, someone you should know comes from Southern California. Cumming Construction Management provides consulting for budget planning and forecasting, and this company recognizes the value of using technology. Cumming Construction Management recently moved from manual methods for creating budget planning and forecasting reports to a cloud-based automated system that leverages Excel. Profit reporting used to take 4 weeks, and it is now done in a single day. This results in savings of $50,000 annually in labor with new technology. This also enables the company to take a proactive approach with business decisions. It has also freed up time putting reports together and aggregating data. Now, the company spends more time on the value-add side of finance. Previously, I sat down with Dominic Di Bernardo, Director of Operations at Cumming Construction Management. Dominic, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Peggy.
So Dominic, let's talk a little bit about how technology fits into the picture of what you guys are doing at Cumming Construction.
Well, we're using technology to automate processes, streamline legacy processes. For example, coming to the budgeting process, is a very manual process that was done in Excel, and there was, version control, the lack of audit visibility, and just the cumbersomeness of sending files back and forth and not having a single source of truth and no process flow. So we wanted to find a technology solution that could help us address some of those issues, among others.
So has technology always been a big part of what you've been doing, or is it just recently in trying to manage processes that it's become something that's really been pertinent to everything you guys are doing?
I think it's something we've always tried to stay ahead of the curve of. And, I think just we've gotten to a point where in our growth curve where there were certain areas of the business that maybe technology wasn't a high priority focus. And, we found weak spots and wanted to fix those before they became bigger issues as we continue to grow.
So how do you manage, when you think about growth, to me, I would think that's a big part of it, but how do you manage the ROI with that? Because technology sometimes can have that double-edged sword when you think about it a little bit. So how do you manage that with all the other things that you're doing right now?
I think it's one of those things that you have to make sure you carve out the time to get it implemented. The ROI sometimes can be hard to measure, but there's certain things that, the ROI in the beginning may be minuscule, but we know that there's a longer term picture that we have to address, right? So, we have to look out into the future and kind of figure out where we think we're going to be in, 3, 5, maybe even 10 years, and figure out what the ROI is over a longer term or a longer horizon, I think.
So is that the advice you would give other construction companies, looking at the big picture when they're looking at technology? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you always have to pair the investment you're going to make with where you think you're going to be in the future. If you're in a declining business, you're probably not going to want to make as big of an investment in technology unless you think that investment's going to help you, somehow get over that hump.
And is there is there one technology that you think has helped you guys get over that technology hump, or is it just a whole host of things that you've implemented over time that you said has really helped you guys be at the cutting edge of things?
Yeah, I think it's the compounding effect of the decisions we've made over the course of our 20-year history of, leveraging and implementing technology as we've seen fit. Every time we see a problem that we can fix or improve with technology, we try to adapt that as quickly as possible to help us stay ahead of our competition.
And looking at that overall, are you guys pleased where you've been and where you're going, where you are right now and where you're headed?
Absolutely, and I think we've probably made more progress in the last 3 years as far as the technology we've adapted than we have probably the prior 20. And I think that's a big part of that is how fast technology is advancing. In the current day versus where it was, 10 years ago.
Well, Dominic, we're thrilled to have you on the show, and we wish you guys continued success.
Thank you, Peggy.
All right, that's our sub you should know, so stick around. We've got more to come. This week's innovation in technology comes from an HVAC contractor. In June 1963, John Canestrano Sr. started a plumbing shop with only $1,500. More than 50 years later, and 700 employees and growing, the J.C. Canestrano Company has built a reputation for quality and innovation. Today, the HVAC contractor is using field technology, including total stations, tablets, and mobile apps which incorporate building information modeling. The result is greater safety, efficiency, and accuracy. So let's take a look inside how this Watertown, Massachusetts-based contractor is changing the way it works. The company is using building information modeling, otherwise known as BIM, to do prefabrication. This enables the company to fabricate components that fit like a glove at the job site. Also, it leverages models in 3D, both in the office and in the field. In addition, it uses the same data for the submittal package. As a result, the technology enables the company to do more prefab. Is this company pointing to a new direction for the construction industry? Now begs that question, right? NIST points to prefabrication and modularization as growing in the construction industry. While these activities certainly aren't new, we see BIM helping to improve these methods. In the end, BIM tablets and total stations can enable prefabrication in construction. That's your innovation in technology for today. Today we will be talking all about drones. Unmanned aerial vehicles are changing the way data is being captured on the construction job site. It is also changing the future of industrial work. One particular example comes from Kespry. This privately held company provides an integrated solution. It offers all the software, hardware, and data analysis tools that a construction company needs. Here to explain all about it is George Mathew, Chairman and CEO of Kespry. George, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you, Peggy.
So George, really let's start talking all about the basics. What really is a drone?
Sure. So the best way to think about a drone is a flying robot, something that can very easily take the data that comes off of that robot itself on a more autonomous basis and be able to use that for all kinds of use cases. In the case of the construction industry, there's great information that comes from visual sensors that are on a drone that enable you to take high-resolution imagery, that let you understand how to do visual inspection of a work site, that helps you understand volumetric analysis of assets that might be located on that work site, and automatically deliver that in reports and applications to business users that need to make good decisions from data coming off of a work site.
It seems all of a sudden, just recently, drones are no pun intended, just taking off. It seems like we've seen construction companies understanding the value now of what a drone can do. Why are we seeing construction companies finally getting to understand the real value that you just described?
Well, I think construction companies have been working with drones for a few years now. They've been trying to understand where the use of this aerial intelligence platform that comes off of the drone can be used effectively for making great decisions within the context of a work site. I think what we've seen in the most recent years, and particularly with the last few years in specific, the aerial intelligence and the data is becoming more automated. It's more integrated into the work site. There's a great deal of telematics information that's actually coming off of equipment today. As you see heavy equipment on the ground on a construction site, that data is very valuable for understanding the maintenance of, say, for instance, that heavy equipment at any point. The data that's surrounding, say, for instance, the elevation, the grading of a work site, the earthworks projects that are typically underway before a full build up on a construction site begins, the data point is actually quite valuable where drones are actually able to give you elevation, dimensionality, information that can be much more automated in terms of getting that data available to you versus taking, say, for instance, a GPS backpack and surveying that ground. And so we're seeing the evolution of how the drone itself is just an essential part of the next generation worksite itself. And most folks who have been in the construction industry for years have now had an opportunity to figure out where these parts and pieces fit effectively together, where the drone is now just a part of the way people work.
So you see drones really changing the industrial work site right now, and we're going to see a lot of that because you've just made a major announcement and alliance with John Deere. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when you think about the work site itself, I had alluded to the fact that there's data that's always coming off the work site, information from a telematics standpoint that might be coming from equipment, information that's necessary to understand elevation and grading when it comes to an earthworks project. These are pieces of data that can be much more strongly integrated together as far as understanding where the status of various activities are continuing to evolve along a project on our work site itself. Where we see the Kespry drone in particular being most essential is that you can automate all of these harder to repeat activities and get that in a reliable way delivered through an autonomous drone that's flying, of course, collecting all the data that might be necessary, and then driving that information in a repeatable basis into applications that users can take advantage of. And so this is where we've seen a differentiator in the market to date for a solution like Kespry. And of course, that's where John Deere also saw that differentiator in the market. They can introduce this capability as a natural extension of the products and services that they're delivering to a work site.
Well, George, it's been great having you with us on Got a Tool, and I know we're going to have you come back on our next time that we have it so you can tell us more details. So we'll have like a part 2 of this. So thank you so much, and there you have it. This is Got a Tool for today.
Thank you.
Today we're going to look at a unique educational program. South Paulding High School in Douglasville, Georgia, home of the Spartans, has a construction class that specifically focuses on technology. The program is designed to prepare students to use technology in construction. Here to tell us all about the program is instructor Kelly Almond. He is also the president of the Georgia Association for Career and Technical Education. So Kelly, I'm pretty excited to hear how you're inspiring this next generation of kids to really look at construction as an opportunity. So tell us what you're doing with South Paulding High School and how you're teaching both boys and girls to get excited about construction technology.
Well, thanks for asking, and this is something I'm very passionate about. And it's, instead of the traditional shop classes, industrial art classes like we have grown accustomed to over the years, we have in construction, the construction teaching industry, we've started going more towards actual building construction and framing and electrical, plumbing, masonry, and all that. And what I do is I start the students out in an introductory level with using the National Center for Construction Education and Research, the NCCER curriculum. And that basically starts them out their first year with what equates to the OSHA 10-hour class. And so then we move from there, and the second level, I give them a taste of 4 different trade areas: the carpentry, electrical, masonry, plumbing. And then from there, the third level, they'll specialize in one of those areas. And typically that's carpentry, and they will get carpentry level 1 certification, which basically through the NCCER curriculum gives them industry recognized credentials. And so I think right now that in such a competitive job market, where people are, you're looking for jobs, I think that's going to give these young people a leg up on the competition. That the ones that don't, they may have experience in construction, but they don't have the credentials to prove the training that they've been through. So, and just one other thing that we do focus on that I hear more from industry all the time is the soft skills, the employability skills, communication skills, the things like that. I can train the kids to get the job. I can train them on the skills, but do they have the skills to keep the job?
So are you seeing a lot, Kelly, with these young kids now enjoying construction? Because it's not traditionally right now. We're seeing a skills shortage right now in construction. We see a lot of the baby boomers retiring, and we need to get this new generation of kids liking construction and seeing that there's a lot of great opportunity. Is this helping you inspire this next generation of kids to see that construction really is a lot of great opportunities?
Well, yeah, there are more and more now. They are getting excited about construction, but it's been kind of a struggle because we've been our own worst enemy, telling, the only way to success is a 4-year degree. And yes, that is one avenue, but it's not the only way to be successful. And each person has to define their own meaning of success. And so these students, male and female, I've getting more females in my classes, and they're getting excited about it. And so it's building, because we're not just building birdhouses and wooden bowls and all. I'm teaching them how to frame walls, whether it be wood walls or metal framing. I'm teaching them the basics of electricity and electrical work and masonry and plumbing and things like that. And so yeah, it's it's an industry where within just a few years these students could possibly own their own business. And so I try to instill the spirit of entrepreneurship. So
that's an interesting point you make, because construction truly is family, multi-generational businesses. Are you helping them understand, like someone like yourself, why you do it? What gets you so excited that you're encouraging them to understand why families are involved in businesses?
Well, and I can relay my personal story, starting being my dad's crew at 12 years old. And so letting them know that there is a way to go about getting construction skills rather than going about it, just strictly through the hands-on approach with no formal training. So, if I can help shortcut that and give them the classroom instruction as well as the hands-on instruction all at the same time, then, they've shortcutted the process by several years instead of all just, being hands-on training. And the thing about it is, the exciting thing for me about construction, this is another thing that I try to instill in my students, is the fact that with construction, it is something that they can go back years from now and see the results of their hard work and their efforts. So we just recently poured, my students and my classes just recently poured 20 cubic yards of concrete for a sidewalk and a concrete pad for a gazebo. That was live work. That was work that they can come back, and that was at our school. They can come back, 15, 20 years from now, whenever they're picking up and dropping off their own kids, and say, yeah, I remember the day we did that. And so that's the thing about construction. It's there, and you can see what you've done.
And looking at this right now, what do you see with all these kids? Are kids coming out and you're saying, I'm excited about this, and they feel like they've been productive? Is that the greatest achievement you're seeing, is kids leaving this program saying, I really learned something, I have a skill set I'm really proud of?
Well, give you just an example. We have, of course, all schools, you've got a check-in process for visitors and all. But then whenever we come in, I'll be in school, and a student will come in through the shop door, and you tell them, okay, well, you need to go check in. This is a former student of mine. You need to check in at the front office. And they come in, and well, Mr. I just want to show you something. They take me out back, and they've got their business vehicle, and they've got their sign on the side of their vehicle. And I just wanted to give you a business card in case you have any work that you need something done. So that is so rewarding to see my former students coming back to me, and they have started their own business, or they're successful with another construction company. So that's just very rewarding for me to see.
Kelly, it's great having you on the show. Thank you so much, and we wish you continued success with your program.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate it.
All right, and that's Learn It for today. Today's word of the day is drone. It is also known as unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV, or an unmanned aircraft system, UAS. I've even heard them called quadcopters. Have you? This flying robot is making its way onto our construction job sites. Like any good robot, this one had its start in the military. In 1918, Elmer Sperry launched the first flight of an unmanned aircraft. And while this device has been around for a century, it has seen significant growth in the past 15 years. In fact, the number of military UAVs have grown from 60 in 2001 to more than 6,000 in 2012. Today, drones capture photos, they conduct inspections, and they provide site data. They can even improve safety and accuracy on projects. Drone, that's your word of the day. And thanks for watching Constructech TV, where we are talking tech at the job site.